Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I have like questions that I made up ahead of time, but I may not even ask you these.
Okay.
But it's just in case. But the first one I have for you is, have you ever been arrested, fired, punished, or rejected by someone other than a publisher as a direct result of your creativity?
It's a direct result of my
So
creativity.
arrested, fired, punished, or rejected.
Arrested, fired, punished, or rejected. Well, the only time I got arrested was at an Iraq War protest, which was fun. But I feel like it doesn't really count as an arrest. I'm kind of a goody two-shoes. I'm kind of a rule follower. I'm kind of, it's a result of my creativity. I don't know that I have to be. I can't think of a circumstance where like I got in trouble for, I never like painted on a wall I wasn't supposed to be painting on or anything like that.
So
I never wanted to get in trouble.
Were you always a goody two-shoes?
Yeah, but I was a goody two, like my mom always talks about, like you always went right up to the edge and looked over. I mean, except for the one time I fell. But like, I would hang around with bad kids, but then I would go home before any crazy shit went down. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
So, okay, the story, when you told the story about losing your footing and falling, there was also, like, in the quotes that you read in the book, it's always about the ascent, but it sounds like for you, it was the descent.
Right. I did not take note of the obstacles that I would, hit on the way down. Partly because we were descending from the opposite slope that we'd come up, which later on, like, the person in charge said, like, that was a horrible mistake, we never should have done that. And, yeah, I mean, but a lot of writing about mountains is about the ascent, of course, because that's the fun part, but the descent is always the most dangerous part. And, like, once you get to the top of the mountain, you just got to get down from there as fast as you can.
See, you said that after you fell and you weren't hurt, you actually had to stay for another week.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like you said, that was that fall had such an impact on you. Do you think it would have made the same impression if you had to leave at that moment and not?
Yeah, I'm sure it would have. Because I don't know, I think I still would have thought of myself as somebody who couldn't handle that kind of trip. That I would have just been like, well, I tried it, I failed, I can't do that kind of thing.
If you were like yanked out
Right
then.
Exactly.
So it was actually continuing after that.
Yeah.
That made it into a positive experience.
Right. And the rest of it was easy, like nothing else was going to happen after that.
You were
that
like,
was difficult.
were you like a legend after that? Like
Yeah.
everybody else was like, oh my God, she fell down the mountain.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was fine.
Yeah, and it became this, like, because everybody in your year-long program had to go on this trip, and from that point on, everyone was like, did you hear what happened once? This girl fell all the way down the mountain. But they also changed I forgot about this part. I ran into a woman who was one of the instructors at the time, and she was super young. She was only not that much older than us. And I ran into her on a BART train here, and now she's a lawyer. And she deals with liability issues. And she said, I was talking about you yesterday. And she still uses this accident as like a cautionary tale and an example. But like my mom had said that it crossed her mind that she should sue them, but then it would have retroactively made it a bad experience for me. And the fact that I wasn't hurt meant there was no point in messing up my experience with the lawsuit. So I'm very glad that she was able to step back and be like, it's okay. So yeah, I was definitely a legend after that. So yeah, I've thought about trying to, because now I'm like Facebook friends with all the people that I was in that program with, and they're all like suburban moms now. But like, I'm like, we should get the gang back together and go back and climb it again. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to convince anybody else to do it, but I think about it all the time.
So, okay, I have one question I do want to ask you of the ones that I wrote down, but so I was sort of stalking you on the internet before this, and I noticed that, so you, in 2009, there was this interview posted about a book that you co-edited called The Big Feminist Butt.
Oh, yeah.
B-U-T.
Yeah.
As in, I'm a feminist, but, yeah.
Right.
And there was a link to the blog that you had built that kind of preceded the book being published. Mm-hmm. And when I clicked
it's
on
only
it...
just been published, by the way.
Okay.
They finally did it. Like, I sort of ended up not being involved, because it ended up taking years and ended up being a much more complicated project than we thought. Because it's all graphic novelists drawing cartoons about this topic, and it just, you know, those people don't work cheap. So they did a Kickstarter and the whole thing, and now it's available.
Awesome. Okay.
Somewhere.
So then I clicked on the link because I wanted to check out the blog, and it said, sorry, the blog at bigfeministbutt.blogspot.com has been removed. This address is not now available for new blogs. So the way that, what that made me think of was the fact that since so much of creative expression has been moved to the internet, which is supposed to be this permanent record, supposedly, but that seems to happen a lot, where people build like a presence and then it's abandoned, or it's. Do you think that has changed the way we create things, or this kind of shift toward the online presence for all of our creative expression?
I mean, yes and no. I think in some ways the internet is an awesome thing because you can have access to so much stuff you would never have heard of, you know. I mean, I think now, like, if I had, like, I just had the public library where I was, like, checking out Memoirs of a Beatnik by Diane DePrima and stuff like that. And, like, that was my only sort of outlet. But if I'd had the internet, if it had existed at the time, it's, like, it's amazing what kind of stuff I would have been able to find. But I don't think of it as ever being something that's a permanent record at all. I think it's like in the moment you can get publicity for things, you can get eyeballs on whatever your project is, but you can't ever assume that your links are always going to stay good, you know, or that the blogspot blog is going to stay up, you know, because all it takes is somebody not paying the bill for it or whatever, you know, or deciding to make it a Tumblr instead, or like whatever the hell happened, I don't even remember, like, so. Yeah, I don't know. Since I haven't published much in a long, long time, and weirdly enough, my outlet for creative expression has been like Facebook status updates, which is so stupid.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah, and so people are always like, "Oh my God, you're so hilarious! I read your status updates all the time." But then, like, I don't. There's like I don't friend everybody. Like, I don't want to add any more friends. So, like, only certain people can see it, and then it just like becomes this thing, but like I don't even think of myself as a writer anymore. I don't even know what I do exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because I haven't written anything in years.
Okay.
There's your real life answer.
Okay. So what about you guys? Anybody have a question or a thought? Yes, back there in the back.
Can you kind of wait? What mountain did you fall down? Could you just?
It's called the Cowhorn Mountain, and it's in the Willamette National Forest in Oregon. It's not one that anybody's heard of. It's not that big. It's big enough to hurt yourself falling. But
And what were the circumstances? What were you involved with? What got you? I apologize.
maybe you should have gotten here earlier. I could do it all again. I could start over.
I haven't filmed.
Yeah.